everybody, Dr. Chris here. Thanks for joining me. Now, you may have heard me talk about the SAID principle. That's the specific adaptation to impose demands. Okay, just to review what that is, that's when you have a stress on the body, and as long as you have enough rest and recovery time after the stress ends, your body adapts and it gets better, it gets easier next time, and then eventually that stress is no longer a stress. So exercises are a good example of that. And that's what I'm going to talk about here, okay? Just to give you a real concrete example so you can visualize this. So after I'm done talking here, I'm going to show you a series of videos that show progression, okay? Now this is a single example. I was looking at a hip hinge variation exercise. All right, you can do this with just about every exercise. You know, one thing about the SAID principle, if you're applying it to exercise, is sure, you increase the stress, you increase the load, but where do you start if you don't know where to start, okay? So the other major point here, besides you can progress to improve, is that almost anyone can start from where they are, okay? And you'll see a crazy example in here. You'll see a seemingly very simple example in here. But the point is, find out where you are. Start with something that you can do that pushes yourself a little bit along the idea of the SAID principle. And then you'll improve, and then you can gradually progress. So with exercises, there's all sorts of different variables we can manipulate to progress, okay? One of the most common things is loading, okay? So what that means is, let's say you're doing a push-up to start with, and then that gets too easy, so then you do a bench press. You put some weight on it, okay? For squats, you just sit in a chair, you stand up. You sit, you stand. You want to progress that, you increase the load by maybe holding on to something heavy. Do a goblet squat or a back squat. So all sorts of different things. Loading is a very common one. Other things are frequency. You do the exercises more frequently. Intensity. A bunch of different variables here. And so I'm going to pause for just a moment here, and we'll flip over to these videos, and I'll talk you through them, okay? And we'll see you afterwards.
So here's an example of the hip hinge using a dumbbell. Just to add a little bit of load, you can use all sorts of different weights, of course. You can do one hand, two hands, two dumbbells, one dumbbell. Now here's the same thing with a body weight. Again, if you squeeze hard enough and go down slowly enough under control, you're going to get a good workout here, even with body weight. But eventually you want to progress. Now bands are fantastic. I mean, they're relatively inexpensive, they're portable, and you can load up movement patterns just like you could with dumbbells or other weights. All right, again, focusing on mind-muscle connection and squeezing those muscles each time at the top, and you're going to get a good workout. Now, if you really want to load things up or go for all the bells and whistles, I mean, the possibilities are just about endless. My point is that this stuff here isn't necessary, but it's available.
All right, welcome back. So you see all those exercises were just variations on the hip hinge movement pattern. They work essentially the same muscle groups with little variations in there. So to summarize the two main points here, okay, one is the SAID principle. Start where you are, but you got to progress if you're going to get better. And then two, like I said, start where you are. Almost anybody can start exercising, doing certain exercises where they are, whether you start with body weight or whatever. You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need tons of money worth of equipment. You can get a great exercise with your body weight and at home, and then progress as you need to. All right, thanks for listening. It's been a pleasure. We'll talk to you next time.
Be sure to schedule your free 30-minute initial phone consultation by sending me an email or by visiting our website at refinedwellnessconsulting.com.